I'm Jim Robinson reporting from Fort Lauderdale, and joining me via Skype from his home in Hollywood is retired airline captain with American Airlines, Jay Rollins. Jay, we're hearing a lot of turmoil in the air lately. A lot of things are going on, and people are beginning to wonder what in the world is happening with the airline industry. And there's one particular incident, I believe, that happened recently and kind of got people raising their eyebrows. What was up with that?
Well, apparently an American Airlines flight arriving from Los Angeles showed up at the JFK airport for landing, and the captain and the air traffic controller, the tower operator there at JFK, got into a dispute over which runway they were going to land on.
Okay, so let's put aside the nitpicking and let's put aside the technicals here for a second. Does this sort of situation kind of create more problems down the road with this communication? Everybody thinks that the tower is ultimately, the main controller, but it's really not the case, is it? It's actually the pilot who's got the supreme control, right?
Absolutely. The tower and all of the aviation structure is there to support that safe flight. But all of it comes to a head with the captain of each individual airplane, the pilot in command. He's the final authority as to the operation of that aircraft under law.
So let's jump back for a second. The situation, there was a pilot coming in, he's flying a 767, I believe it was. Okay. So what exactly happened? He wanted to come in on 31. He felt that it was probably the safest, right? So what was the deal with the air traffic controller? Why did he feel he needed him to go to the one that he's telling him to go to, which is 22? So why did the airline controller say, no, you will listen to me, you will land on 22?
Well, you have to understand that the airport generally chooses what runway is in operation, especially a busy runway like JFK. In order to expedite arrivals of traffic, they prefer to use parallel runways because they can use one for departure, one for landing. So they had it set up for everybody to land on 22. In comes this flight, this American Airlines flight, that has determined that it's not safe to land on 22 for that particular airplane, and he insists on 31. So the air traffic controller doesn't want to mess up his pattern. He doesn't want to force all the aircraft to move around in different positions in order to allow for this one plane to land the other way. But the pilot, on the other hand, is just as insistent that he needs that other runway for safety.
One other thing, too, is we're hearing a lot about the tarmac delays and such. And, a lot of people are getting upset about being on the tarmac for more than 3 hours. And now there's a rule, I believe, that has gone into effect saying that you will not have passengers sitting on a tarmac for more than 3 hours without giving them all the necessities that a human being would need. What does this all kind of mean as a tie-in, really? With the tower versus the pilot, what does this all mean then, I guess, in regards to the whole tarmac delay thing?
In both instances, you have a situation where the government entity has a problem of its own that could create a delay, and they are trying to get the airline to cooperate in order to minimize the delay, but they're not accommodating the airline and its operational need to be safe. In both instances, in the one case where you have tarmac delays that the airlines are now going to be fined for, many of those delays come about because of construction at airport, exactly like what's occurring in JFK. And so in this case, because of that, they want to use runway 22, which isn't the ideal runway, but they're doing it because they're accommodating this construction. The pilot, on the other hand, could care less about that. He wants to put the plane down on the safest runway.
It really does make sense. And ultimately, I believe it's the pilot, and I'm sure you will agree that the pilot is the one who will make that last decision. What is the safest way to do it? And apparently he chose the runway 31 by declaring an emergency. So very interesting stuff. Well, listen, Jay, we're always trying to keep on top of this, and you always do a great job of breaking it down. Is there anything that we as passengers need to know the next time that we're out getting ready for our next flight? Just, about all this.
Well, whenever you experience a delay with the airlines, you should keep in mind that the crew is on your side. The captain in particular, his main effort is to make sure that the plane arrives safely. His secondary effort is to assure your comfort and on-time convenience. So if there's a delay, rest assured that he's doing everything he can to minimize that delay. But this is your safety we're talking about. And to question and to aggravate and annoy the crew because they're not moving things along fast enough is very much like being on an operating table and arguing with your doctor that he's not moving fast enough.
That really is a great analogy, Jay. Again, thank you so much. And real quick before we leave here, tell me about your blog, because you do a lot of this on their blog at jrollins.com.
Yes, the blog, it covers things about military, general aviation, commercial, and space. And we try to talk about subjects that we think are of interest to the public in general. We try to keep it on a level that the average person can understand and break it down for you, just like this story, so that you can understand how this affects you.
Well, Jay, you always do a really great job of breaking it down into bite-sized little chunks for people like me who can really understand the way that the industry is operating and just kind of what, goes into the airline industry. Because quite frankly, it's kind of like the DMV. We don't really know what the heck is going on, but we know that it sometimes means waiting and sometimes means we got to exercise our patience. So, Jay, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jim Robinson. I'm reporting from Fort Lauderdale.